Welcome to Until Somebody Loses an Eye Behind the Page. Today we're going to take a look at Mantic Games' new Kings of War Vanguard Goblin Winggit. This is just one of my favorite models that I've been looking forward to coming out. It just looked beautiful. I saw it first at Adepticon and I finally got my hands on it. So we'll go a little more detail onto what's there for it. This one has several pieces for it. Start off with some little ones. You've got a little bit of the wings in the back. Some of the detail, nice and crisp and clean here. Really good resin casting. The resin is just getting better and better all the time. One other little sprue. This apparently is the arms for the pilot, with the two sticks that he uses to control flight. Again, very crisp, very clean casting here. Nice job. We have two separate wings. It's a little bit extra flash. You typically see this coming out of a lot of resin castings. It's of course where the resin goes into the mold. Easy to clean off. These are a little shiny, which concerned me a bit. I've already washed them with some warm water and Dawn dishwashing liquid. But hopefully that's just part of the resin and won't affect the paint going onto it at all. We'll see when I get around to that. That's going to be a little bit later. First we get this puppy together. There's one wing. And here's the other one. Now it's interesting, this one doesn't have the little channel pieces on it, whether they already trimmed them off or not. But again, seems very clean, very clear with this. Previous wing had a little bit of flash on it. This has a little bit. I can see some flash. Whoops, sorry about that. Bumped my light. Looks like this could be a little flash here. I'll have to want to clean off and clean out, but otherwise really nice and crisp. You've got then the back piece goes on the end of it, on the tail. And very little flash on here. Of course, got the vents on it. Should go together very nicely. You got the comes with two pilots. So the first one, his legs are going to be hidden. You can actually see where he's going to bump up against it. So he fits in there. He's definitely having a good time. Ready to drop a bomb on somebody. And in fact, has a whole backpack full of them. Oops. Again, very little flash on here. Some venting. These are pretty well expected here, that I see on a lot of resin models. No matter where they are, it's extra venting to get in to make to make sure that the resin flows properly. So you've got to have these extra vents here that connect it. Those are expected and really easy to trim off and clean up. The other pilot, he's actually in a seat. So again, I like the similar to the Mob Pup launcher. I love the tongue hanging out, that he's just going way too fast and having too much fun. His big pointy hat hanging over the edge of the seat. Not that there's actually any parachute back to that seat or anything, because they're goblins, they don't care about things like that. A real nice job on this. Again, very, very clean. Then the front of the main fuselage, I love this. It's, you know, it's a pig, come on, honestly. But it's cool because not only do you have the snout, it's all made out of wooden pieces. Very much detail. You can see all the grain in there. Really like that. Holes to connect. But also underneath it even has some teeth on it. And the planks put in. This really looks like the guys just scrambled it together like you'd expect any goblin construction. Got rivets sticking out of it. Really like that. And then lastly is the main body piece. So this one I've actually trimmed off some of the vent pieces already on it. There's a, whoops, it's a hair. Yeah, that's what happens when you have dogs. You get hair everywhere. Nicely done again. Lots of fine grained detail here on the wood pieces. Even the bottom of this stump here with it. It's a little bit wet. This is still from where I washed it off. A little water droplet, sorry about that. So, all the detail of what's going on with it. We'll take a little bit of shots as we put this together because it's a little more complex than the Mob Beast launcher, and just want to make sure everything's clear on how to do it. Should be fairly simple though. I am a little bit wondering because the first time I watched this, it came out sticky. I'm not sure if I just didn't get all the detergent off of it or not. I rinsed it again with it and it seems to be fine now. So, something I want to watch, and it's still a little bit shiny. So we'll see how the paint works on it. But I love the look of this model, can't wait to get together. Alright, so here we've got him with the crew assembled and in place. You can see the gunner or bombardier or whatever, the guy in front fits nicely into the seat, as well as the pilot in back with the two arms going in, and then they fit here. There are two little holes fit in the sides there to control the wings with it. It's interesting. Oops, I'm sorry. Interesting to note the different colors of resin here with it. And I'm wondering, as I was cleaning these up a little bit, and no, there was not much cleanup. In fact, the most I've had to clean up so far was on the butt of the forward crew member, which you can't see anyway because it's underneath his legs. There's a little bit extra flash on there, and of course some of the wings. But it seems like that this medium gray color on it, I wonder if it's a slightly different formula to the resin, because it does feel a little less brittle and a little softer. It's easier to work with. But being less brittle is probably a good thing, because a lot of resin can be very brittle and easy to break, so make it a little more durable to be on the playing field. Next, we'll put together the front and the wings. One thing I didn't know, I noticed a little bit came loose, and if you notice on the front here, there are supposed to be two tabs with it that will fit the front of the model. However, you can see here that one of these tabs actually had a bubble in the resin with it, and the tab just fell off. Hole right there. That's a defect in the casting. However, because he does have a flat surface on the leg, it's kind of a neat idea because it gives you more surface area to glue on. I believe I'll still be able to put this together correctly without any problems, even with that defect in there. It'll be completely covered up. So I don't see that being an issue with it. So as you can see, there was no issue at all gluing the front on. Fits there, covers up the little bubble. Still able to go completely straight. The nice thing about those being square pegs in square holes is they only fit one way, so it's still nicely lined up. The next piece, of course, to put on will do the tail section. This only goes one way, you can't put on that way, it won't fit. You just simply glue right on there with it. And then we'll do the ears and the wings. Now the ear sections can be a little tricky to identify, but basically you're going to want to have the texture on the outside of the plane, the flat surfaces. On the inside we don't see them. In addition, on the flat surfaces, you can see there's a little knob there that will fit right in to the corresponding spot on the body. So these should fit in nicely. Alright, next we have the wings. Now when I first looked at this, they threw me off a little bit because, alright, these wings are beating, they're flying, so I was kind of thinking they would cup the air, but when I tried to fit them, they did not fit this way. It turns out that they're being against it. So, is this realistic? I don't know. But, you know, it's magic. Okay, it's goblins. It looks cool. We'll leave it at that. So the wings go on with them downward. And you can see that they only fit on one, each fit just fits on a single side. So, two connections, easy to glue in. Alright, and so the wings are on. And with a little glue, they actually stay there when I'm moving the model around instead of just falling apart. The last piece then is a stabilizer that goes underneath the carriage. Now, when I first looked at it, there's a little, you can see a little key here that fits in the slot, and my intention was to go just like such. However, I did, and it seems to fit really nicely there, but then I caught myself and realized there's a hole here in which to put in the plastic flying stand, and if I put it in this way, I cover up the hole. But if I put it in the correct way, now it actually lines up with the flying stand and makes more sense. So, just a thing to be aware of there. It's about the only thing I can see in here where it's easy, would be easy to put it in backwards. Mantic's flying stands actually come with a choice of 2 different heights on them. It's a single round base here, and then you put your flyer on different heights. Checking this, however, the short one is actually too short and it'll interfere with this bottom stabilizer. So this one will have to use the long pin. This does concern me a little bit for how it's going to fit into my case that I planned for storage and transport, especially with this bottom fin on here. There's no way for it to easily sit flat, so I'll have to see the best way to transport that at some later point. But it's too cool to worry about, to be too concerned about that. Alright, and it's complete. Now, of course, I glued the plastic flying stand onto a 50mm Shogun magnetic base. This is one where I may have not needed to use the Shogun base on it, simply because I'm not going to be able to store it standing upright. And in fact, I'm not going to glue it completely to the flying stand so that I can have some option for transport. And I expect I most likely will have to replace this with a steel pin to be a little bit more durable. I've already found with my Night Stalker army that I had to replace the flyer there in order to do it. Of course, part of that was also somebody packed him in and shoved the lid down on it rather than flipped on its side, so they broke it. But it happens. They're demo armies. You live with it. Anyway, beautiful model. You can see all the fantastic detail. It's going to paint up just beautifully. I've actually found that I love painting these contraptions, whether they're goblins, or it actually got me interested at one point with doing a Skaven army. I painted up a Doom, Screaming Veil and a Doom Wheel, had a lot of fun with it, and then had to start painting rats and didn't care. So I never got beyond that. Of course, that now has become my Ratkin demo army that I use, and I actually did finally get those rats painted up. You can see all the beautiful detail here. It is a gorgeous model. Can't wait to see what people see. You know, honestly, when I have this available, which good chance may not be until Gen Con, to do my demos and learn to plays, when I will have 12 different warbands available. But I can see this being one of the first ones people are going to want to grab. They're just going to gravitate towards it, want to see these cool models and pick them up. All right, thank you very much. Please like, share, and subscribe. And remember, it's all fun and games until somebody loses an eye.